I still remember the thrill that I felt when I scored my very first soccer goal as a kid. I was 7 or 8 years old, and if you've ever watched little kids play soccer, you know it's not technically soccer. I call it bunch ball. So there I am on the field, and my team and the opposing team are basically in a giant circle surrounding the ball, kicking at it, hoping to make contact with it. And eventually the ball pops out of the circle and landed. It rolled right in front of me. I ran at the ball and I slid and it boinked off my shin guard and went up into the air and landed in the back of the net. And I jumped up off the ground and my team ran at me and they were cheering and I ran back up toward midfield with two fingers in the air going, yeah. And I looked over at my parents on the sideline and they were screaming and they were so proud. And I distinctly remember I had to slide to kick that ball because that's the only way I knew how to kick a soccer ball. Scoring that goal was an amazing feeling. And for the next decade, I fell in love with soccer. I loved watching it. I loved playing it. I loved coaching it. I had the Brazil national team plastered up on my bedroom wall right next to the door poster of Mia Hamm. As Danny Rojas from Ted Lasso would say, football is life. I think everybody has a game that they love. Maybe the game is a sport like soccer or basketball or football. Maybe it's a board game like Settlers of Catan or Monopoly. Maybe it's a video game like Breath of the Wild or Call of Duty. Whatever your game is, take a minute and just think about why you love that game so much. Is it because it's a great distraction from the stresses you have going on in your life? Is it a fun way to connect with the people that you love? Or are you just one of those super competitive people like my wife who just loves crushing their opponents? Now for the perfect transitional question. What if your favorite game was marriage? If you've never thought about marriage as a game, you're not alone. For most people, especially if you've been married for a little while, marriage doesn't feel like a game at all. It feels maybe a little bit more like work. However, if you are willing to treat marriage like it's a game, it can change everything for you. But here's the thing, you can't play marriage like you play other games. Winning at marriage requires you to shift your thinking a little bit. You see, in life, there are two different types of games. There are finite games and there are infinite games. Most of the games that you know and love are finite games. Finite games consist of three things. The first thing is they consist of known players. So in a finite game, there's people on the field or sitting around the table or holding a video game controller. Number two, the game has unchangeable rules, rules that can't be broken by the other players or the game descends into chaos. It doesn't work anymore. And number three, there's a clear winner and a clear loser or group of losers. Sometimes, obviously, in soccer, there's a draw, but you get the idea here. If you try to play the game of marriage with the same set of conditions and rules as your average finite game, it's not going to go well for you. Most likely, what will end up happening is you'll end up competing against your partner and you'll end up frustrated with them. You'll blame them for everything that goes wrong in the marriage, and you'll end up treating them like your opponent or your adversary. And this will just end up leaving you with a marriage that's full of loneliness, anger, distrust, and resentment. So if you want to play the game of marriage successfully, you need to approach it differently than you would a finite game. That means you need to treat it like an infinite game. Here's what an infinite game looks like. In an infinite game, there are both known and unknown players. In this case, it could be coworkers, it could be a therapist, it could be a stranger on the street, it could be your next door neighbor. All of these people could say or do something that might impact your game of marriage at one point or another. In an infinite game, the rules are flexible and they can change at the player's discretion. And the objective of an infinite game is not to win the game, but to keep the game going. And in addition to that, to make the game as enjoyable as possible for all of the players involved. If you're playing an infinite game, you want people to want to keep playing it, right? Otherwise, the game stops. The most important and meaningful games that you will ever play in your life are all infinite games. Parenting, marriage, friendship, business. These are the activities that give our lives purpose, that fill us with joy, and they're all infinite games. Finite games encourage you to look out for your own best interest, to take advantage of opportunities to get ahead, and to use other players' weaknesses and mistakes against them. An infinite game requires you to look out for your own best interest while also taking into consideration the best interest of everybody else who's playing the game, and to consider how your choices might impact how the game is played in the future. Finite games are all about having a single-minded pursuit of one specific goal: to win. Oftentimes, to do this, you have to be ruthless. You have to disconnect yourself a little bit from the pain or the suffering that you might be inflicting on other people in pursuit of your goal. Infinite goals are about pursuing many goals all at the same time: personal goals, collective goals as a group, even the goals of other people. This requires you to engage in meaningful dialogue, to make sacrifices on behalf of other people, and to find joy in their successes, even if it means delaying the pursuit of your own. If you can learn to succeed at playing any infinite game, it will bring you so much more long term satisfaction than winning any finite game, including the World Cup. Succeeding at an infinite game means that you've developed this complex set of skills that enables you to cooperate with other people in order to create an experience that's maximally enjoyable. And when you play in that game together, you experience a sense of meaning and fulfillment and joy, which is way better than the last game of Monopoly that I played that made me want to flip the kitchen table upside down and just walk away. So today I want to leave you with 5 tips to help you succeed at playing the infinite game that is marriage. Number one, and this is actually the first part of the growth ecosystem, it's to have an inspiring vision that you're moving towards. At the center of every single infinite game is a vision or a cause that inspires people to join up and contribute their time, their energy, and their resources. The vision can be something grandiose like solve world hunger, or it can be something more simple like waking up every day feeling prepared to love, cherish, and be the kind of partner that my spouse feels lucky to be married to. A good vision will get you excited to get out of bed in the morning. And if it's something you want badly enough, you'll be willing to sacrifice and endure some sort of pain to see it brought to pass. Now, think for a second about your marriage. What's your vision for it? What type of marriage would inspire you or motivate you or get you excited to sacrifice to make that version of marriage a reality? Does it involve traveling the world together? Or maybe it involves retiring by age 40? Maybe it's about leaving a legacy behind for your kids. For my friends Ty and Terry, a huge part of the vision for their marriage was the Hope Center for Kids in Omaha, Nebraska. This was a place for underprivileged teenagers to go after school so they could stay out of the streets and away from the drugs and the gangs, and they could get mentorship and help with schoolwork and apply for college and help them get ready for jobs. That location that they created became a pillar for that community and part of their legacy. For my friends David and Gretchen, part of their vision is helping everybody that they meet get to that next level in their life. They've spent countless hours helping friends start businesses, introducing strangers they just met to connections that might help them advance in their careers and their goals, and even mentoring young couples to help them avoid completely avoidable disagreements and arguments that might otherwise jeopardize their relationship. Whatever that inspiring vision is for you and for your partner, it's up to you to go out and create it. Use it to motivate you and to guide your choices and to keep you pointed in the right direction. The second tip I have is to be a visionary leader. To play a successful infinite game, it really helps to have a leader. Simon Sinek said, "To ask what's best for me is finite thinking. To ask what's best for us is infinite thinking." A good leader is the person who paints a clear picture of the inspiring vision that's motivating to the rest of the players in the game. They're always reminding the other players, hey, remember why we're in this game together. Or saying things like, this is why I want to play this game with you. A great leader sees value in the strengths of other people, especially when other people's strengths complement their own weaknesses. They lead by praising the behaviors that lead to the outcomes that we're all mutually working towards. And they shy away from using fear, threats, or intimidation to get results. A great leader is like the conductor of an orchestra. They know everybody else's role and they try to ensure that everybody does their best without overshadowing other parts of the orchestra. A great leader doesn't micromanage. They allow other players to encounter their weaknesses and learn on their own how to overcome them. They know that this is one of the most important ways for other players to develop self-confidence and resilience and the ability to overcome trials in the future that might pop up. A good leader also knows how to remove obstacles from the paths of other players. They do their best to make sure that the players can be successful in their roles and that they don't run into unnecessary problems along their journey. One of my favorite marriage quotes is by Terry Real. He says, "It's your responsibility to give your partner everything they need in order to give you what you need. It's not fair for me to get upset and angry with my wife for being late to an appointment if I don't give her everything she needs to be on time. I need to let her know what time we need to leave and why it's important to leave at that time. For example, we need to leave by 4:45 and we need to leave that early so we can beat rush hour traffic. Otherwise, we're going to be late. I would need to make sure that I give her enough advance notice. I can't walk up to her at 4:30 and say, hey, we need to leave in 15 minutes. Be ready." And it would be really helpful if I just asked her the simple question, is there anything going on today that might get in the way of you being on time? That way I could go take care of picking up the dry cleaning that she's been stressed out about and ruminating about, and she could wear her favorite dress. Leaders help other teammates succeed at playing the game. The third thing you need to have in order to be successful at playing an infinite game is you need to allow for vulnerability. In order for a person to want to play an infinite game for the rest of their life, they need to feel comfortable showing up and playing the game as themselves. You'd be surprised at how many couples suffer in their relationship because either one or both people are afraid to take off a mask and be themselves. In some cases, this is a literal mask, like somebody may not want to be seen without makeup, or they may not want to be seen without their clothes. Or maybe it's a metaphorical mask, and you just feel this pressure to always put on a happy face and pretend like everything is fine, even when it's not. If you don't feel like you can be your true self in an infinite game, then it's going to put a limit on the amount of intimacy that you can experience and your ability to go all in on playing the game. Now, I want to mention something really quick that I see people do pretty regularly that inhibits their partner from showing up authentically and vulnerably in their relationship. When I talk to couples, I often hear somebody say, my partner would just blank. Things would just be so much better in our relationship. And what they describe in that blank space is oftentimes a character trait of their partner. It's a value. It's something about who they are as a person. What they don't realize is that the thing that they said and the thing that their partner heard are two very different things. What their partner heard was, if my partner was just somebody else, my life would be so much better and our marriage would be so much happier. Maybe that makes you laugh, or maybe it hits a little too close to home. But if your partner feels like when they show up as their authentic self and they're vulnerable with you, and then they just get attacked or told that there's something wrong with them as a person, they're not going to open up and want to share that experience with you and they're going to stop playing the game. When you allow for vulnerability in your marriage, you celebrate the differences rather than punishing each other for them. You allow each other to take risks and make mistakes. You don't make your partner live in fear of retribution or retaliation if things don't work out exactly the way that you want them to. You learn to accept your partner for exactly who they are at their core, their character, their values, their strengths, and all of the weaknesses that come with them. But just as a side note, that doesn't mean that you tolerate abusive or disrespectful behaviors. That's not the same thing. The fourth thing that will help you be successful in playing the infinite game of marriage is having a worthy adversary. In a finite game, your adversary is meant to be defeated. There's always a clear winner and a clear loser, unless you're playing soccer. And ideally, you want to be the winner and you want your opponent to be the loser. An infinite game is different. Your adversary is meant to be treated with respect. Typically, in an infinite game, your success or your failure doesn't have anything to do with your adversary's success or failure. Your adversary's job is to act as a mirror, to reflect back at you your weaknesses and your strengths, your insecurities and your competencies, and to show you the ways in which you can improve and grow. In marriage, your adversary should push you to be more consistent and kind and thoughtful and patient, to look for new ways to appreciate your partner or be spontaneous and surprise them and delight them. Your worthy adversary should push you harder than anybody else to unlock your potential and to, as Jordan Peterson says, burn off your dead wood and become the very best version of yourself so that you can fulfill your just cause, which was the first tip I gave you. Maybe your worthy adversary is your parents' failed relationship. Or maybe your worthy adversary is somebody else's relationship who you really admire. And you look at what they have and you think, oh man, what are the things that I could take from them to improve myself? It's not a competition, it's a reflection. One of the fastest ways to fail at the infinite game of marriage is to play with a fixed strategy. I remember when I was young, I had a fixed strategy. I'd graduate high school, I'd move on and go to college, get a degree, find an awesome job, meet an amazing wife, buy a house, have some kids, and then retire one day and live happily ever after. And I will tell you, my life did not happen that way. I thought there was a linear path to success. And it turns out my path has not been linear at all. I've quit jobs. I've moved back in with my parents. I've gone through multiple breakups. I've started multiple businesses. I didn't end up finding the person that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with until I was in my 30s, which was much later than I had expected. I've had to be flexible with my plan. And if you are unable to be flexible with your plan, it will break you. You'll self destruct. I've seen it happen. People have complete meltdowns. They say things like, my life isn't supposed to look like this. And then they end up missing all of the good things in life simply because their life doesn't look like what they thought it should. They couldn't be flexible, and they surrender their happiness to things that are completely outside their control. And if you want to be happy in life and in marriage, you have to learn to be at least a little bit flexible with your game plan. You got to be able to roll with the punches, to take whatever life throws at you, and then just be committed to make the best of it. I want to say it one more time. There is no game that is more fun, more meaningful, and more fulfilling to play than an infinite game when it's played well. And I believe that your marriage is the ultimate infinite game. No other game will bring you as much joy, fulfillment, peace, connection, happiness, meaning, and purpose. So, how would your life change if you started treating marriage like it was an infinite game? How are you treating it like it's a finite game right now? And how is that holding you back? Let's experiment this year. And for the next 365 days, treat our marriages like an infinite game and just see if it makes a difference. I would love to hear your ideas on how to do this and do it well. If you have any, just leave them down in the comments. And if you found today's episode valuable, I hope that I was able to earn your subscription. I hope you have an incredible week. And as always, I love you and I'm rooting for you.